always got to be my harshest critic. But yeah, proud to be part of a historic event, and I hope it lived up to expectation. Fulfilling my legacy and my destiny. Credit to Eubank. I wish him well, but no doubt I'm coming back for revenge. I just couldn't get the finish. I just couldn't pull the trigger and keep it moving. I'm known for having my opponent hurt and getting finished, so it's one of them things where it's like, do I avenge the loss? Do I drop back down to 147 and win the WBC World title?
And I think we might see a rematch in the future, but both men should be very, very proud of themselves. That's just the fact. They both handled themselves with class afterwards. It was beautiful to see their fathers kind of showing some respect as well.
Conor Benn demands an immediate rematch after the devastating loss to Chris Eubank Jr. Meanwhile, his promoter Eddie Hearn also clued in on the rematch date. He hinted that the rematch could be coming up sooner than expected.
The terms are already agreed for the rematch with to move forward, and it's the same as the first contract in that respect. So I think we got it spot on with the numbers.
Conor Benn's immediate reaction to his heartbreaking defeat to Chris Eubank Jr. was one of resilience and determination. Despite the loss, Benn admitted Eubank's outclassed performance and gave credit to his opponent for the victory. However, Benn made it clear that this setback wouldn't stop him from pursuing his goal of revenge. He confidently stated that no matter what, he would return stronger and was fully committed to getting his chance at a rematch with Eubank.
Mixed emotions, obviously. No one wants to lose. I've never tasted defeat, so yeah, no doubt it's a bit of pill to swallow, but such is life. I've done the best I could. Some people say they had it a draw, some people say I had it either way. Sky had me up by 1 point going into the 11th. I can only put it down to inactivity. 40 months out of the ring. Ultimately, I need to do better. Always got to be my harshest critic.
Moreover, Conor Benn is determined to get a rematch against Chris Eubank Jr., who gave him the first defeat of his professional career after 23 straight wins. Benn believes he can beat Eubank if they meet again. He felt confident that he could finish the job next time. He admitted that his time away from the ring affected his performance, making it harder for him to capitalize when he had Eubank hurt during the fight. Also, Benn Jr. is motivated by the loss and is focused on making sure that if they fight again, he won't miss the opportunity to get the stoppage, while his father demands an immediate rematch.
Yeah, I was proud of him. Very, very close fight. Very, very close fight. Not going to go on about the decision. It could have gone either way. Chris done better in the later rounds, which I was very impressed with. So, yeah. What else can I say? Just a good fight. Just looking forward to the rematch now.
Is immediately what you would want to see for Conor?
I think, yeah, go for the rematch, yeah. Just, no point in going back down to 147. Stay at 160, get the rematch, win the rematch, and then drop back down to 147.
Additionally, during an interview after the bout, Conor Benn's father, Nigel Benn, shared his thoughts on the intense fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and his son, Conor Benn. He expressed pride in Conor's performance, acknowledging that it was a very close fight that could have gone either way. Furthermore, Nigel was particularly impressed with how Eubank Jr. performed in the later rounds, and he described it as a great fight, hinting that a rematch would be something he'd like to see. Nigel Benn was visibly emotional after Conor Benn's loss to Chris Eubank Jr. He expressed respect for Eubank Jr.'s performance, admitting that he was impressed by Chris's resilience and ability to push through the fight, particularly in the later rounds. He spoke about Conor's growth as a fighter, recognizing that there were areas where he could improve, but also noting that his son would learn and come back stronger from the experience.
I think, yeah, I see a lot of Conor in me, but he's actually the better version, but he didn't show it tonight, because he was weaning a lot of punches in, going on the ropes. But he'll learn from that. But I see a lot of me in here, a lot of similarities. He respects Chris deep down, to go through a fight like that and come through, And so I'm happy that, that he'll come back stronger. he'll come back stronger. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Consequently, Eddie Hearn, Conor Benn's promoter, after Benn's hard-fought loss to Chris Eubank Jr. He praised Benn's heart and determination and fighting skills he kept when he was exhausted in the later rounds, especially in the 11th and 12th rounds. Despite Benn's loss, Hearn was filled with respect for both fighters. He also has confidence in Benn to come back. He noted that even when Benn was running on empty, he never stopped fighting, showing the same never-give-up attitude his father, Nigel Benn, was known for.
I just can't believe the heart and guts. I've never seen a fighter dig in that situation with the size of that challenge, literally, and just never stop trying to win. Like even in the 11th and 12th round when he had nothing else. Let's just walk around it a little bit because we're gonna. When he had nothing else in the tank, he just never stopped trying. I want you to know that this kid, is a great kid. He's an honest kid. And again, I won't go into the past, but to see now the response of basically him becoming the people's champion. And a lot of people thought he won. Some thought it was a draw. I guess maybe, I don't know if the majority of people thought that Eubank edged it, whatever. Honestly, like after what I've seen in there tonight, could not be prouder of that kid.
Hence, the rematch between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. is highly anticipated, with both fighters showing interest in a second bout. Eddie Hearn also confirmed that there was a 2-fight deal in place for the rematch. He is confident that it's a possibility, but also assured that it would depend on the fighter's recovery, especially Eubank Jr., who reportedly suffered injuries during the fight, including a serious broken jaw.
My phone's blowing up from America. So many people watch that going, this kid is unreal. He can go and fill any arena in the country at 147 and he can win world titles at 147, 154. So we got to get it right. Tonight he changed his life financially and he's good for life, and that's always important. But he wants the rematch, of course, and His Excellency wants the rematch. They've even announced, I think, the date back at Spurs in September. So it's very likely that could happen, but let's let the boys rest up and look at Eubank's injuries as well.
In fact, Hearn said he is proud of Conor Benn, and he has performed exceptionally well. He also added that Benn started the fight strong, and while Eubank Jr. came back with some powerful moments, especially in the middle rounds, Benn's resilience shone through. Even though the fight ended with Eubank Jr. winning, Hearn stated that Benn had shown the type of spirit that made his father a beloved figure in British boxing.
I thought Conor started off really well. I think I had him winning the first 3 rounds. And then, Eubank started to get into the fight a little bit. Conor hurt him repeatedly, shook his legs a few times, especially I think in the 3rd or 4th with a left hook. And Eubank deserves a lot of credit. He was in deep waters and he really had to show a lot of heart, which I know he has. So respect to him as well. But obviously Conor's our man, and just to see the 11th and the 12th round, where Conor was hurt himself. And he was empty in the gas tank. And it was those 2 rounds that...
Above all, Chris Eubank Jr.'s trainer, Jonathan, shared his thoughts after the victory against Conor Benn. He felt satisfied with the win and stated that both fighters gave their all in the ring and put their hearts into the fight. He praised the performance as a significant moment for British boxing. Regarding a potential rematch with Benn, Jonathan confirmed that a rematch clause exists, and while he couldn't say for certain, it's possible that the rematch could happen next.
I feel pretty good. I mean, I thought he fought again. I'm the type of guy, I pay homage to both fighters. I thought they both put their hearts on the line. Yeah. I thought they both gave everything they had. And if they could have gave more to the crowd, they would have gave more. Yeah. I think the biggest winner was Great Britain. It's possible. They already talked about it. They talked more about that before they did this fight. So it's possible. I can't say for sure, but it's possible.
About the performance of his fighter, Jonathan was confident but said they would come back in the rematch. He credited the victory to Eubank's ability to match Benn's fast start and further emphasized the importance of Eubank's left hand, which helped him win rounds throughout the fight.
I think he met his match. He met him at his... Kind of started fast. Yeah. Chris matched that. Okay. That was the difference in the whole fight. If Chris would have started slow, then the fight would have been totally lopsided. Yeah. But because Chris started right away. And a lot of people underestimate one thing when it comes to boxing. Your left hand is here for a reason. You may not knock guys out, but you damn sure can win rounds with it.
Yeah.
When asked about Eubank's future, Jonathan stated that while Eubank wants to face big names and chase high-profile fights, pursuing titles instead of chasing specific fighters. He feels that titles, rather than individual opponents, are what define a boxer's legacy.
A lot of fighters chase other fighters because they say, oh, I want this guy, if I beat this guy, I'll be here. I like to chase titles because they don't have no faces on it, only owners. So I like chasing titles because chasing people will put you somewhere.
Yeah.
Chasing titles will leave you somewhere.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
So that's why I like chasing titles, because in 50 years,
Yeah.
if you look up something, just go under the title they won and you see their name.
Yeah.
To me, that's what it's all about.
After his defeat, Conor Benn confidently spoke at the post-press conference and showed pride in his performance. Despite the loss, he accepted his defeat positively and proudly said that people doubted whether he could handle fighting at 160 pounds, but he proved he could take punches and even hurt Chris Eubank Jr. several times during the fight.
I don't think people put enough credit on the boxing ability, for me. Doing 10 rounds, doing 12 rounds, I'm well conditioned, and I can box. I haven't always got to knock out my opponents. Well, evidently I have, but I mean, I can do 12 rounds, in a weight class. There's 2 weight classes above my weight, and I'm glad to see that it's not taking anything away from me at all, proving I can take punches at 160. You don't always want to test that. And my goal is to not test that, but also I can dish it out at 160 and comfortably hurt my opponent, Eubank, multiple rounds. And have him on shaky legs. I just couldn't get a finish.
In particular, he further clarified about his performance and said the fight was razor close. According to Benn, only a minor advantage helps Chris Eubank Jr. to win, as one of Britain's most rancorous and long-running boxing rivalries lived up to the hype at London's Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. However, he also has shown his frustration with fans about hearing so many others agree only made the loss sting even more, because deep down he knew he hadn't been outclassed, outworked, or truly beaten, just edged out in a battle that could have gone either way.
It was so close. Well, so people are telling me. I felt like it was close. That's what's hard. It was so close and I just didn't get the nod. That's what's painful. Not as painful as Chris missing weight by 0.05, but it was painful. And it was just, if it was as close as people were saying it is, that's what's painful.
Additionally, boxing analyst Michael Bisping carefully analyzed the fight and described the fight as one of the best he'd seen in recent memory, with Eubank landing the heavier shots and Benn showing incredible heart, speed, and activity. He noted that Eubank Jr. rightly won a close fight, but both men should be proud, and even their fathers showed mutual respect afterward.
Anyway, Conor Benn taking on Chris Eubank Jr. This was a rivalry decades in the making. Of course, their 2 fathers fought back in the 90s. The first fight was in 1990. Chris Eubank gets the knockout late in the fight. Then the rematch in 93 goes to a split draw. Okay, and then since then, these two have been on a collision course. Let's just put it like that. And leading up to it, we had a lot of shenanigans that Chris Eubank Sr. in particularly did not like. Of course, we had the smashing of the egg at the square offs at the press conference. Chris Eubank Sr. didn't like that. He branded his own son a disgrace. Okay, when the fight started, we had Conor Benn just kind of moving around all over the place, not being economical with his movements. A lot of wasted movements, certainly when you consider this is a 12-round fight. Eubank Jr. kind of held the ground in the middle, using the jab, using the left hook, using the lead hand a lot, okay? Now, Eubank was landing the bigger shots. That's just a fact. But Conor Benn was swinging fast and wild, moving around all over the place, and it was beautiful. It was a tremendous matchup. Now, I've got some notes here.
Moreover, Michael Bisping analyzes that during the fight, Benn was faster, more active, and emotional, moving around a lot. It was a back-and-forth, brutal fight with no boring clinches, just pure action, with both men exchanging heavy combinations. Bisping said he and the live 5 judges had Eubank Jr. winning, but the rounds were close and competitive.
Matchup. Now I've got some notes here that I took on my phone. Round 2, speed on the side from Benn. Beautiful jabs from Eubank. Lead hand. Big right stumbles Eubank. Much better round for Benn. Landing much bigger shots. Chris almost only using the jab and chatting at the end of every single round. Conor Benn, at the end of every round, had something to say, and he looked pissed off, he looked angry, he looked emotional, and he was, but it didn't slow him down. We always say you don't want to be too emotional in fights. It did not matter one little bit. He kept that same energy all the way through it. Now, this fight was an absolute classic. Bigger shots on the side of Eubank, more activity, and more volume on the side of Benn, okay? But as the fight progressed, it was kind of close. The live odds had it in favor of Eubank.
Furthermore, Bisping called it the kind of fight fighters dream of being part of, the type they would proudly look back on one day and show to their grandchildren, saying every fan in attendance left satisfied, and that this bout represented British boxing at its absolute finest.
It was just beautiful 6-7 shots from Eubank, then Benn would fire back. It was tremendous, okay? Halfway through the 11th round, Eubank kind of wobbles in, Benn fires right back. This is the type of fight that you want to be involved in. This is the type of fight that you are proud of. When you retire, you look back on your career and you can show this to your grandchildren.
Tony Sims, Conor Benn's another trainer, spoke emotionally about the difficult defeat to Chris Eubank Jr. He expressed his devastation over the result. He had firmly believed that Conor would win the fight, but admitted that both fighters gave it their all. Sims further described the fight as close, with the 2 rounds likely tipping the balance in Eubank Jr.'s due to his experience and ability to outlast Conor.
We're devastated. I truly believe that Conor Benn would win the fight. But listen, hats off to both of them, Chris Eubank and Conor Benn, both brought their hearts out. There's nothing much more that either one of them could do. And obviously the verdict never went Conor's way. I felt like it was a close fight. It could have gone around either way, or possibly a draw. But I felt like the last 2 rounds was what really probably won it for Chris, is that he outmanned Conor in the last 2 rounds, out-experienced him.
During the post-press conference, Conor Benn also discusses his secret talk with Eubank Sr., where he appreciated him for coming to his son's fight. For Conor, it wasn't about the rivalry, the hype, or even the outcome of the match. It was about family. He explained that seeing Chris Eubank Sr. there, supporting his son, meant a lot to him personally, because no matter what happens in boxing, the bond between a father and son is what matters most.
I looked at Chris Sr. and I said to him, grabbed him by the neck and I said, mate, I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you turn up. You know, because outside of everything else, outside of all the noise and the promotion and the fight, your relationship with your dad never goes. That's always there. That's long-standing. That's without boxing. You know, what's boxing? You know, what is it? You know, because I'd pick the relationship with my dad over boxing any day of the week. You know, so to see them two, if this has brought them together, God, that's worth its weight in gold.
Moreover, Sims is definitely demanding a rematch, but looking further into the reason for Conor Benn's devastating defeat, Sims feels that Conor had been out of the ring for 14 months and had to jump up 2 weight divisions to take on a middleweight contender, which made his performance even more impressive. Despite the loss, Sims praised Conor for his effort, as the young fighter had put up a solid challenge against a world-class middleweight, which showed he could handle the weight and deliver punches at 160 pounds.
But listen, I'm proud of Conor Benn, what he done tonight. He ain't boxed for 14 months, it's a long time in activity. And he jumped up 2 weight divisions. I mean, he was nowhere near the middleweight limit when he weighed in. He was just 2 pounds over the super welterweight. So the performance that he put in, is incredible. He could never turn this fight down. You know, obviously the Eubank Benn names in history are synonymous with each other, and it was an hard fight that he just couldn't turn down. But I mean, we've got to talk about it obviously with Eddie Hearn and see where we go to the next fight. Obviously there is a rematch clause, but does he turn down the 147 WBC title again? Because it hurt him a little bit turning that down, and like from what we've seen tonight.
The rematch between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. has become a highly anticipated event in boxing, especially after their thrilling encounter that ended in Benn's first ever defeat. What are the next steps for both fighters after such an intense battle, and who should they fight next if not each other? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think will take the win next time? Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.